Hiya folks, and welcome back to Sevtech Ages. So, last episode we kind of got done with the Between Lands, and now we're getting back to some base building over at the base. I said the episode before that, or rather the episode where we were talking about the irrigation, that I wanted to try and start some Romanization stuff. That is thematically Roman, ancient Rome. Because we have kind of an aqueduct going on. I have some stuff to show you back at the base, but I'm collecting some sand and sandstone. The sand is just kind of secondary, but the sandstone is what we're after, because I'm trying out the sandstone as a texture for us to use for one of the things that I want to build. So I'm going to see you over at the base, and then I'll get explaining some more stuff. Alright, so here we are. Not a lot has changed around the base. Just going to put this stuff away for now so I can get to explaining. So I've been working on some things. Aqueduct designs, basically. I've also raised this up by another 7 blocks. And the reason for that is because I was looking at pictures of the aqueducts, and they are they hang quite high up compared to the land around them, as far as man-made structures are concerned. I'd say this is actually a fairly accurate representation of height. And having it as low as we had, 7 blocks down along this line, it just wasn't as high enough as I wanted it. So I've raised it up another 7 blocks between episodes, and now these ones are these crops are a good representation of how things will look when we do the farms in the area below. I've also extended this way out, as you can see, because I kind of want the farmlands to be out there, as I talked about when we first moved into this area. And we also have these 2 designs to replace this monstrosity with, right? But I also want to create a 3rd design matching these, which involves sandstone, because when looking at the aqueducts, or reference pictures for the aqueducts anyway, I noticed that the stone that the aqueducts are made from happens to be a kind of reddish color, which is why I've tried this granite here. But it's not this red, and it's not this grey either, and I intentionally avoided basic stone and used andesite for this. And so I'm kind of like, this is kind of a last straw thing, trying sandstone, because I want to see if we can get something more along the lines of what the reference pictures had. Now, we don't have to be totally accurate, right? Like, we don't have to use red terracotta, or if we look at these chisel things, and we'll get to these, don't you worry. We don't have to use red terracotta roofs. They could be black. We could have blue walls and yellow stripes around the bottom. But I think immersively it's best to try and keep things as accurate as possible. Well, not as accurate as possible, but, you know, close enough. Because that just, if your brain can hook to something, a reference image that exists in real life when referencing fantasy, then you kind of end up having the illusion of it being believable anyway, right? But if you go way out there and use crazy colours and rainbow bricks and all sorts of things, you kind of automatically reject it when you look at it. Some people don't, and that's cool, but I think it's more common than not to reject that sort of thing. So, we're after blocks that kind of match this, so I just made some bricks. And now I want to make panels, because these are panels, but I want that top line taken off. And boy, I wish I had item zoom. You know what I'm going to do? for specifically this, because even I'm having issues here, I'm going to do that. So now I can actually see the textures. I need to install item zoom. See, that's what we're after. Panel, straight away. Okay, and then we need kind of a raw sandstone look as well, which I will get to right after I sleep. Alright, let's pick that raw sandstone style. That's pretty close, but we kind of want it the whole thing, which is this one. But is there anything better? No? Alright, cool. We'll grab that one. So with these 3 blocks, we should get a good idea of... stairs might be tricky. Can I make stairs out of these bricks? Question mark. And can I make slabs out of these bricks? Also question mark. No. I mean, I can forcibly make them using chisel and bits, but alright. Might have to go for something different then. But let's try and emulate this as much as we can. Then it's 1 raw, then it's 1 brick. And panel either side of the raw. And brick, brick. Probably should go this way. Brick. Oop. We're going to end up in the lava here, I think. Panel. Raw. Panel. Not quite in the lava. Brick. Brick forever. Okay. Panel, panel, panel. Brick, brick, brick. Okay. So that's mostly that. Then we need some stairs. Stair. Looks like the only sandstone stair we're getting is actual base sandstone stairs. Which I imagine that's the same for slabs. We'll see how it looks. There's no reason to throw the toys out of the cot yet. Because the thing is, we're going to need a ridiculous amount of sandstone in the future anyway. If it ends up being made out of sandstone. That is. Excuse. Excuse. No. Maybe from the side. There we go. So I don't know whether you can kind of tell, but it's kind of like this module, right? One of these is a repeating pattern that goes across the entire aqueduct system. So it needs to be both easy to build, but look good and be able to be repeated again and again and again. So I don't know. Those are kind of the 3 options. It's a little light to me. And obviously you can tell these ones are 3D, that one's not 3D yet. That would come when we actually start chiseling bits, and because these have been chisels and bitsed, right? Because we don't want the aqueducts to appear too fat by having full meter by meter blocks on either side of the actual aqueduct itself. And chisel and bits, a lot of people complain that it can be slow to build with. It's not very slow to build with if you know the tools that you're working with. It's just like anything, really. Once you get used to it, it speeds up quite a bit. And there are techniques to make it speed up, which I will talk about over here. I am leaning more towards the sandstone, though. Definitely. The only problem I have with the sandstone is it's so close to the walls of the actual Roman design that I created over there. I mean, that's limestone, that texture there is limestone, not sandstone. If only this was a bit redder. And there may be a situation where I literally go and tweak the sandstone textures to add a little more red to them. It may even be red sand that I end up tweaking, to be honest. Because red sand is so red. It's so red, it's ridiculous. So it may be red sand that we end up tweaking and then trying to get red sand. The only thing is, I don't know how to get red sand because there are no mesas around us anywhere. I know I could kind of travel north and try and find one, but mesa's the only place you can get red sand, so yeah. Interesting predicament. But I think for now, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. It's kind of a decision that I don't want to make because yes, I could replace it later, but it's kind of, do I want to replace it later or do I kind of want to finalize things now? I think I'm leaning very hard to the whole tweak the red sand textures and use those. Thing is, we have to source red sand and that's a pain in the butt. So, because in the latest update 3.0.7 for the pack, the Nature's Compass was added, and the Nature's Compass exists solely to lead you to the Darklands. However, I have tweaked it to help me find Mesa, and the reason I wanted Mesa was to help me find hardened clay, but this thing cannot find any mesas around me at all, and the radius is 10,000 blocks, so I don't know whether mesas actually exist in our map, to be honest. So, yeah. I mean, I could travel north a long, long way. And that might be something we do once we have access to the Nether. You know, travel 5,000 blocks in the Nether and you've actually travelled 8 times that, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm actually leaning far more towards the granite now. Granite is ugly in most circumstances, except maybe this one. Where it seems to fit the bill a little better. So I think we might actually go with granite. You guys let me know though. Because I'm not going to do all of it today. In fact, there is actually something else that I wanted to do today. But I wanted to discuss this stuff with you. What I wanted to do was I wanted to dress up the screw pump section. This bit. And to start doing that, this is why this exists. So if we go and take a look at this, this is all Chiselsnbitsn, right? If I'm going to put the sandstone away, forgive me. Just wanted to clear some space. Oh, by the way, between episodes while doing all this stuff, I'd been working on the wine. We now have a 1.0 wine, which is cool. So this would add 10 minutes to Nourished, maybe? I added 2 minutes and 23 seconds to Nourished. I don't know what that does to Nourished, to be honest. I hope it doesn't break it. Or if it does break it, I hope it breaks it in a really good way. So anyway, this thing. These are kind of little module pieces that I've created. And this is, as I was talking about, once you get used to chisels and bits, you start speeding up. And that's because in this particular case, the technique I've used is to make things into module sections, right? This is a bottom end cap of a wall. Excuse me. This is a bottom end cap of a wall, right? This is a middle end cap of a wall. And so that will always be put on top of this. And as long as you have a chisels and bits bag with all the pieces in it, so if I grab you, my chisels and bits bag should have enough in there. You can just create as many of these as you want, as long as you have the bits for it. So now I have 6 middle end caps, and then you can just place them as quickly as you place any other block. So that's why you kind of want to do things in a modular fashion with chisels and bits, because of how quick you can do things when you do that. Get in there. I'm going to have my chisel break on me in a second. But you can see, right? And this is the bottom straight section, top straight section, or middle straight section. Don't have a top straight section. Corner, bottom section, corner middle section, inside wall corner, bottom and middle, and then a straight again, just because I wanted to make the sample work. And I want to sleep, but I will finish explaining this before I do. If I can have some blocks, give me these. By the way, you've probably noticed that I'm not using the swift pick, and I've changed things over to Valenite, because I went back to the swamp and mined up some Valenite. It's really rare stuff, it's so hard to find. And I made some pants as well. But the swift pick was too fast. So I've made a, in this case we've got a terracotta roof, terracotta shingle roof, straight section, outer corner, inner corner, and then a straight section again. But mostly straight, outer, inner, straight, straight, outer, inner. And it has to be these two levels, because one is basically an upper slab and the other is a lower slab, right? Now I'm going to sleep because it's getting very dark. But rather than try and explain the sample that I've created, I think using it in action will probably be the better idea. And that's why I kind of wanted to get on to doing the thing today. And I'm going to have to make another chisel, so I'm just going to have the bits on me while I do that. The other benefit of using chisels and bits is terracotta is hard for me to get hold of. Again, no access to a mesa. So that requires clay and cooking clay. And as we all know, clay is rarer than dragon hearts from Draconic. So, I am just like the best right now using my terracotta so efficiently. But cobble's not rare. But you can see I'm really using I'm spreading out the materials by creating these kind of layers where it's filled with cobblestone. Now this could actually be hollow rather than filled with cobblestone, but that just, my brain doesn't like that. So I've filled it with cobblestone. But let's start building the thing, dang it. I'm putting off the building because I'm trying to explain, and explaining I'm not good at anyway, so I should just do. And we're going to start with some cobblestone down here, because I feel like a cobblestone foundation for this thing makes a lot of sense. Maybe we'll put some wooden stakes through it, but for now we'll just go with plain cobblestone. So we want to start off here, not this block. I want to use this block. Okay. Is that right? Is that the correct? I think it's the correct one. My brain's a little broken today with the visuals. In fact, I just need new glasses. That's really what the thing is. I have a prism. What is called a prism. Some of you may actually experience a prism yourself and know what that is. But for those that don't, it basically means one eye's image is slightly shifted from the other eye's image. And so if you imagine you had two transparent images, and then you layered them on top of each other perfectly, and then shifted them slightly away from each other, that is kind of what my vision is like with glasses. Without glasses, it's quite blurry, because the images are quite separate. But, yeah. I have what is called a prism. Right. So this is basically just the outer foundation of the building we want to make, right? And I think I want to come out one more block for this little tower thing. I actually don't want you, 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 you. And the reason for that is because we want to have this tower thing still look like it's accepting water from the lake. So we're going to have like this archway thing here. And I'm sure you'll see what that is like. For now, I'm going to make one more circle with this. Might help not to be bobbing up and down. Because I want the foundation to be bigger than the actual structure itself. After all, we're trying to create a solid tower in water. So it needs more stability than a normal building does. And this is part of what I'm talking about here, about things that sound like mechanics of the game but aren't. They clearly aren't. This is kind of how you create the illusion of immersion and get people thinking about the buildings they're creating, right? How would the structure exist in reality? Yes, it's Minecraft. Yes, it's a bunch of blocks. Yes, you can literally have a block floating in the middle of nowhere. But if your intention is to create something which convincingly exists in reality, then you need to take reality's rules into consideration, even if they don't exist in this world. And that's basically what I'm doing. So, believe it or not, we're actually gonna grab some of this disgusting cobble, and place it around here. And you've done the foundation, Rosie, so why are you putting this around here? Well, it's just like the sample pieces, right? We're actually going to cut into this by a layer and then layer our limestone over the top. And limestone is a stand-in for plaster because we don't actually have a plaster block. We have adobe, which I can't make right now, and we also have Rustic has one, but I'm not a big fan of Rustic's clay walls. I don't think the texture is very good personally, so I don't want to use those. But if I now, for example, and we'll work on the other side since we see the other side more clearly from up above, looking down at this thing as we construct it. If I take that out, I don't think I have any limestone on me, but replace that layer I just took off with limestone, then it'll appear from the outside, once the actual building is complete, that the whole thing is covered in limestone. Right? That the whole wall is limestone from the outside. Let me grab that. Do a bit of finagling here. I did have limestone on me now that I actually thought about it. It's in my Chiselsnbitsn bag. There. I grab you out. My chisel is going to break at any moment. Not a big fan of that. But if I do plain like that, we now have some outside limestone plaster. And we can edit these as we go too, as we need to. And here is, by the way, what I mean by things being rather easy to duplicate. I want you to rotate, click, done. Rotate, done. Done. You're done, son. Clear the chisel design, grab the straight section, clickety clack, click clack. And eventually we're going to run out of limestone, which we haven't yet, which is nice. As I say, like, we are really spreading limestone thin by only doing a single layer. Chisel has finally broken. No? No? Okay, we need a proper crafting table for this. How unfortunate. I figured out what I did. Did this last time I made a chisel as well. The iron chisel recipe has been replaced with tin. I'm not totally sure why, but it has. So, here we go. New chisel. Alright, back to work. Okay, and now there's two ways of going forward here, right? I could either take a positive chisel design of this and then recreate these blocks in here like that, but that's going to take a lot of cobblestone, or I could just keep doing this and then replacing them as I need to. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep replacing these like this. I have realized I want to do something else here though. Where's my chisel? I want the inside to also be plaster. So that is how we're going to do that. And yeah, see, the inside corner won't need that. You will need that. That's all fine and dandy. So grab you. Put you on plain. Swimming and chiseling at the same time. Good stuff. Cool. And so that's probably all we need for the inside pieces. It is falling nighttime. Good thing I have a sleeping mat. And look at all these squids. It's going to be a sore spot for me for a while, I think. Having all these squids around. Being jerks, showing off that they are in fact squids. Now, I got so distracted there that I think I copied this, but I wasn't sure. So, now I know. Swimming and chiseling. It's pro skills. Once you get on my level, you will understand. Of course, I hope you know I'm joking. And last one. Okay. So now the bottom inner side is done. So, if a player, being that this is single player, so aka me, if I swim in here, I'll see that the inside is plastered above the waterline, right? And yes, I'm going to extend the foundation to the ground, but we'll get to that eventually. It's the more boring part, so I'm not going to do it right away. But I'm going to take a moment off camera now to build this thing up to a bit that where it changes significantly, and then I will come back and chat to you. Alright, I came back a bit earlier than expected because I realised I want to do the arch now. So the arch will likely be something like this. And again, we can use cobble as our fodder. Or filler, depending on what you want to call it. But, oh, we still get piranha. You are a rare and special treat. But at this point it's kind of about shaping things, which is a bit of a different skill, or a technique. Not necessarily skill. Technique with chisels and bits, so I wanted to come back and go over that with you guys. Now forgive the bobbing in the water, but it will still make sense, hopefully. You kind of get the arch shape already, right? And that's kind of what we want, but maybe we want the arch shape to be even clearer than that. So let's go down to a quarter size cube rather than a half size cube. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. So because it's going to be a nightmare, I'm going to do this so I've got something to stand on. Just to fill in these gaps here with quarter size cubes. And this will make it actually less like an arch. If I just leave it like this, you'll see now it just kind of looks like a ramp. So in order to fix that, you kind of just round some things off by creating a more spherical look to it. Someone's just shoved a big cheese wheel through the front of this thing. So now you have more of an arch to it. And in fact, I think might even want to bring these out one more. And you. And bring these out one. Back off. Yeah. It's kind of harder to tell because the noisy background of this is making it difficult to see the overall shape. I'm trying to move sideways, left and right, to give you, hopefully, through your mind's eye, you can kind of get the shape more regular in your head. So, then, what we do is very similar to how we've been doing things so far. Grab this, delete, place, delete, place, delete, place. Just keep deleting and placing because we're just replacing the layer on that angle, and then we do that for this as well. Oh. Delete. Give everything a limestone coating. The other thing though is maybe we don't want this arch to just kind of be plaster, right? We can bring some red terracotta into this. And I think that's what we'll want to do. See, now you can more see the arch shape. Let's bring some red terracotta into this. So I'm just gonna do this. If you're wondering how I'm just so perfectly replacing this with a single click, it's because it's connected plane. A connected plane will only fill the area on the block, which is a, as the name implies, a connected plane. So a plane is a flat shape, right? A square is a plane. A triangle is a plane. A cube is not a plane. A diamond is not a plane. A pyramid is not a plane, right? So a plane, in this case, is this L shape here. So connected plane is just, boop, replacing that. So now we've got that limestone here, and again, because it's all just one texture now, we've kind of lost some definition of that arch shape. So we want to bring definition back into it, and that's why I want to bring that red terracotta in. And I will do so once I have fixed that side. We won't bring the red terracotta in this side because I don't think people would bother even in architecture in real life, even if they were going ham on a biscuit in terms of detailing things. Get myself some more area to stand out here. But my chisel bag should have some red terracotta in here. It does. And I also want some basic terracotta. Because we want to bring common themes back in. You'll remember, thinking back to my sample that I created, there are common themes. And the common theme in this case is the theme of lining things with red and brown terracotta. In the sample, it's the bottom of the wall is lined with terracotta. In this case, it'll be the shape of the arch. So for that, I'm going to be doing a lot of single clicking here and lining the arch with this red terracotta. And then, once I've done that, I'll be doing that all over again, although it'll be easier this time, and I'll show you why, with the brown terracotta. Because the brown terracotta kind of relaxes the contrast. The contrast of these two colors, the limestone and the red terracotta, is very, very loud right now. right? And by relax, I mean you want to minimize that contrast at a glance. By having a color which is less contrasted between the two colors, and that's why I have the brown. Let's do this. I hope you guys are getting a lot of information through me explaining this stuff. I hope it helps. I hope it's not just boring listening to me rabbit on about artistic technique and that sort of thing. These are all very technical explanations of these things, but of course what you should be aiming to do is to explore your creativity, right? So all these technical explanations, I hope, are just the tools that you use to explore that creativity. So let's do this. Don't worry that I haven't plastered this, by the way. The tools that we have been given by Algorithm X for Chisels and Bits make this very easy to get around without destroying our detailing here. Okay. So let's, the other thing is that this bottom section is going to have the same kind of thing that I had with the sample, and I'm going to have to go check the sample, and this is why we have samples, because I'm not entirely sure how high up the wall I made the terracotta border. How high are you? You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, I thought I made it a power of that. Power of 8. So here's a fun other chisel and bit tool that people don't often use, is drawn region. If I right click and hold, I'll start to drag out this thing, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When we come across, I am dropping down, don't worry, I will correct for that. And then let go, and it's drawn it. Although I think I've gone a little over here. I have quite a lot over, actually. Please give me something to stand on. Oh god. Okay. I'm just going to push this back to where it ought to be. There we go. No, not quite. No, not quite. Undo. Why did that happen? Am I not on single? I am now. There we go. So I've also made a mistake here. I went up 8 when I should have gone up 7. Because the 8th block is this block, isn't it? Let me do connected plane again. Bam. Okay. We can do connected material and pull that out. And again, leave it on connected material, swap back to the brown one and pull that out. And we have the kind of thing. I want to leave this one though as 1 thick rather than 2 thick. And by thick, I mean thick this way, width coming out from the wall. And then for this, I'm kind of now thinking that maybe what I want to do here is go back to connected plane and have some more red terracotta. Lifting this out. So it's going to be 2 red terracotta to 1 brown terracotta around this arch. And yes, I was actually walking up 1 pixel of red there. Now this may not end up perfect, me doing it this way with the connected plane, but we can adjust it with our single bit thing. single bit tool. Oh, there we go. You are done. You are not 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 done. Alright. So you can see there is a mistake here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a mistake there. I kind of want to leave that in line though with that. So leave that in line with that. And then we just want to do connected plane. If you're wondering why the connected plane doesn't sometimes get all of a line, it's because that's the crossover between another block. It's where two blocks meet, right? So in this case, you got these two blocks. So when I click here, it's only going to do those two. That's why that's happening. Same again there. But there you go. We have a nice arch. It looks ugly over there. But otherwise, it looks great. So we are going to fix this bit. I'm actually going to get connected material and break that. And then we're going to go back to this and get drawn region. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. Across this line. Is that correct? I believe that is correct. Sorry about that, flat emergency. I actually don't think I got that right. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I did. Maybe I didn't get this one right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Just pull those out again then. Connected plane, round terracotta. Why don't you look right then? Because this is red and you are brown, which we should possibly reverse actually. This was probably more correct than that was going to be, so let's do this instead. Yeah, sorry about deflecting this episode into more detailed Chiselsnbitsn, but I thought it would be a nice little distraction from the usual. Now we have this nice pretty arch over where the water comes into our tower, which is going to encase this mess. And then if you want to see the mess, you can actually come inside. This is part of it, right? You can come inside the nice pretty building and see the mess inside and see how it mechanically works and so on and so forth. This is all part of what I'm trying to do here. Is I'm not trying to hide it. I'm just trying to make it look like it belongs. But we have run out of time for today because of the doing this. So I am going to leave y'all to... What am I even saying? I'm so muddled. This is what happens. My brain gets in art mode and I stop being able to speak. correctly. So, guys, have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.